Hey guys, Scott here with my first impressions on the Dredge, the latest killer in Dead by Daylight. So from the limited experience I've had with him, I did not play the PTB. I just sort of checked it out. So this is really first impressions for me. I've been taking a break from DBD entirely. So a lot of this was brand new to me. Took me a little bit to understand exactly how to use his power. But from what I can understand, he has two main components. Well, I guess three. The first thing is the teleporting in the lockers. Teleporting in the lockers reminds me of basically the Demogorgon's portal, except it's in predetermined spots instead of you being able to choose where you want to put it. However, you don't have to waste time putting down portals because the locker's already there. So what that means is basically it's either going to be better or worse than Demo's portals because they're quicker. You don't have to set anything down, but there also might be maps with fewer lockers, or they might be in inconvenient positions in which the lockers are not really in such a good spot. So it's sort of better and worse so it's just sort of a side grade, I think, to Demo's portals. But depending on the map, they can be extremely useful, but typically you're not really going to use them mid-chase or anything like that unless the Nightfall mode is on, which you get by hitting people, and there's add-ons that affect that as well. So unless that mode is on, you're probably not going to use it because the travel time is a bit too slow. And also people can lock the lockers as well and things like that. So it seems like that's not going to be his primary chase power. What his primary chase power is, it kind of reminds me of the artist a little bit. So instead of setting down a bird pointing in one direction, you set down your remnant and then you leave that there. And then you run around the loop. Now you definitely move slower while you're charging this. So it seems like the correct survivor counterplay is yet again going to be leave the loop once he starts channeling this power. Because if you try to loop him while he's doing this, he'll just teleport back to his remnant and then he'll be able to hit you. So that remnant ability basically denies looping pretty heavily, but it doesn't stop survivors from simply running away. So what I'm trying to do with the killer is sort of pressure people into corners and then make it so their only option is to loop back into me, at which point, well, then you get basically a free hit. So it does seem like the counterplay to the killer is not going to be the most thrilling because it reminds me very much of the whole artist situation where she would just block off a loop and your options were to run through it and then just get hit or run away to a different loop. And it seems like that's going to be basically the exact same thing here. Now, there's the whole Nightfall mode as well, which I've seen it from the survivor side as well. Apparently, it was pretty much useless, at least in terms of visual appearance in the PTB. Apparently, it's a bit darker now. But from what I've seen, it's still not really meant to be a vision obstructing thing. Like, it does obstruct your vision. It makes the entire map very dark. But that's not really the main component of it. The main component is the buff to the power that you get. Survivors glowing white makes it, honestly, very easy to see them. And the immense boost to the speed of your power is actually very nice. And because of that, you actually can use your power in chases. And I tried that towards the very end of the game here when Nightfall actually started. But it happens really fast. Like, you teleport to the locker in 1 second and you're out in like half a second. So you could actually probably do that mid-chase and see some very good use out of that. So unfortunately, you can't like super control when the Nightfall happens. It just sort of happens as you consecutively hit people. I believe it might charge passively, but I might be wrong on that. Like I said, still very first impressions on this. But it reminds me kind of like a Freddy's kind of AoE effect, but honestly a bit more useful. I think it should not be understated how useful Survivor's glowing white can be, because a lot of the time, if there's a lot of shit going on and you're chasing someone, you might not notice someone that's like hiding kind of in a dark map in a corner or something like that. You just might not be able to really notice it. But when they're glowing white stands out so much compared to everything else that it becomes very easy to see survivors. Even if they're not intentionally hiding, you might see people that you didn't really, you wouldn't have seen normally. So all that being said, how strong do I think he's going to be? I think it's too early to tell. Again, these are just more of a first impressions. I probably have to play him for a week or two before I can really tell how strong he's going to be. It does seem like he will be, at the very least, decent. Just because of having that anti-loop potential to begin with. That's always going to be a useful thing. Any killer that can deny looping will always be good. But he has the weakness of, well, people can just leave while you're charging your power. Now, you can fake it, but there's a bit of a cooldown too. So it's going to be kind of a back and forth depending on how the killer plays and how the survivor thinks they're going to play. But the teleporting back and forth mid-chase really is pretty darn useful. And I think if the survivors do not have an option to run to a different loop, a lot of them are going to be pretty damn screwed. So it remains to be seen how strong the killer is going to be. But overall, I think aesthetically, appearance-wise, things like that, super, super cool. It reminds me of like the water elemental model from World of Warcraft, except it's made of like pure shadow instead. The skins that they have are very, very cool as well. I have not played on the new map yet, so I'm looking forward to that. But overall, I would say this killer is actually aesthetically very cool. The music is well done. The polish seems very nice as well. Balance-wise, that is the only part I can't officially judge yet, but I do think this killer will be at the very least decent. I like the power. I think it's pretty fun. And again, aesthetically, all that stuff is very, very cool. So first impressions of the Dredge, I would say, are actually pretty good. That's, I mean, I wouldn't say surprising, but it's nice to see that the first impressions are a good thing. Finally, as we go back to just me in general, playing DBD again. So I said in that video like 3 or 4 months ago that I was going to play DBD or I was going to play Elden Ring for about 3 to 6 months, and it's been 3 to 6 months. So it was on the earlier side because, frankly, From Software just updates the game so infrequently that it's just sort of gotten stale. So basically just waiting for a DLC or a big patch or something like that, but nothing has changed in months at this point. So it was getting pretty... I was actually getting a little bored of it, getting a little burnt out of Elden Ring. So it's going to be back. I had a couple of DBD streams, and I was actually enjoying myself. Who would have thought that after 5 years, taking a break from the game would be a good idea? But yeah, I'm feeling a lot better about it now. Remains to be seen how long that will last. But yeah, it's been a good time, and overall, this killer seems fun. So I am probably just going to be playing the new killer right now at the time of this upload. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.